We've had a lot of like meatheads on the show, guys who like the weight room. So I'm just curious for you, like late bloomer, what was the weight room experience like for you?
Yeah, no, for me, like right away, maybe eighth to ninth grade year, I was like, okay, this is waking up, kind of just nonchalant going into there, kind of like I was like, okay, this is stupid. Like, didn't really see too much progress, but also, as you guys know, like, was not the healthiest of eaters. That probably did not help
Was
whatsoever.
What? No.
Yeah, yeah. So makes a
Jacked up
lot of
on Mount
people.
Jacked up on Mountain Dew is Riley.
Yeah.
Jacked up on Mountain Dew.
So that probably didn't help. But then 10th grade year, I kind of really fell in love with it. Kind of realized like, okay, not everybody has to get absolutely shredded. Like I can do maybe like the ab workouts. I can work on pure speed training. Kind of, I don't have to absolutely get absolute buffed. I can not kind of have that sneaky build is probably how I'd put it. Like I'm not clearly not absolutely buff like you guys, but I just I have what I need and maybe wired. I don't know, like a pretzel, kind of that stuff is probably a lot of things people say, but so I'd kind of get like really love that. And then kind of like sophomore, late sophomore year, like kind of going into late golf year, into the junior year, I really had like whatever it was with the back was kind of
Mm.
made that tough. I know for golf, like I could barely swing a golf club without my back feeling like it was concrete. And then it kind of got tough. So it was kind of more like going in there, stretching, kind of doing whatever I could there. But then senior year, I honestly came and I went in there as kind of do pure abs or kind of keep pure kind of keep the physique I have and um but also it just felt like more kind of just stretching, keeping the body loose and making sure that for sports I was kind of the healthiest I could be without ruining kind of I don't know what my mind was thinking, but I feel like every day my dad was like, "Oh, go work out." And then I was kind of like I shot felt comfortable going into basketball, whatever it was. I was like, I really don't want to mess that up with whatever it might be wrong move while doing a bench press or whatever it might be. So it's kind of just more making sure I was ready to go, kind of stretching wise instead of trying to get kind of that buff. But I would say I loved being in the weight room, but it was probably different than, like you said, a lot of 99% of the meatheads that kind of looking for the physique over kind of maybe just going in there and staying fit.
Yeah, and I mean, there's different ways to do it. Like if you want to find success on the basketball court, playing basketball is a pretty good way to do it. And there's always that. I kind of had this too, like the balance between keeping your shot and doing like upper body strength or hypertrophy, and just like fine tuning the balance between those two. I definitely can see where you're coming from. And yeah, I feel like in the basketball space, lifting is still important, obviously, but I don't think it's like as essential as a sport like football. So I think there's it just shows there's different ways to do it, and you obviously found one that worked for you. Your senior year, like we said, you balled out, and yeah, it was really cool to see.
Yeah. I definitely like my senior year I shot it okay, but it took like 3 weeks off towards the state tournament or whatever, and was like by far the best I shot it, like the most consistent. But again, like I was kind of sacrificing a little bit, probably what 5% shooting percentage for bigger, longer term goals. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I don't know, things to manage, especially when it comes to the shot and how hard it is to make shots consistently and all that type of a thing. So yeah, it's interesting. Every sport's different, and we just didn't really know at the time. So
Yeah.
never thought about it. And then Dad's like, "No, you're going to stay out of the weight room for 3 or 4 weeks here," and it helped. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think,
Like you kind of like for us, it's pure kind of football lifting is out how to put it. Like there
yeah,
wasn't really too
yeah,
much other than that, like for us. So we got that paper. He did those lifts, and I was just like, I don't see like my path. I don't know how these stuff are gonna help me out, or I just feel like these are gonna hurt me worse. But even baseball helped me too. I was probably throwing 55. I was probably throwing meatballs up till my senior year, and then all of a sudden I was throwing like 78, 79 on the mound, and then like that just hit a switch too. Whether that was the certain lifting that I was doing going into my senior year with, more kind of the stretching, kind of working on everything, making sure I could get the most rotation out of possible, or if it was the height thing, growing 5 inches, but whatever it was, like either one. But that was just everything kind of with the style I was doing definitely was working good for the sports I was playing. So
I think you're kind of ahead of your time with that too, because like for me, my solution to struggling with sports would have been to go in the weight room and do more, but that doesn't really help you with your sport, like football maybe, but these other sports probably not. So I think that's cool that you. I think that's unique from where we came from to have the mindset to like question a little bit and maybe just do more stuff to like specific to what your goals were, what made you feel good. And clearly it worked out for the sports you were playing.
Well, and that even goes back to like when you were doing like the whole Lincecum thing too, Colin. Like, I know
Right.
that that's not like the same thing, but kind of is, right? Like you were
Yeah.
focusing on trying to basically, because he wasn't a big guy, like maximize your pitching routine, your wind up or whatever to get the most out of your body. And then as time went on, that kind of changed. And I feel like that was, if you would have stayed on that, I know you had other things that you were working on, right? But if you would have like stayed with that trajectory of like, dude, you were popping, it was crazy to see, but you were spending time like mirroring after that. And it was, in my opinion, like pound for pound of whatever age you were or time, like that was the hardest you were throwing the ball. And that was sick, but that's kind of to your point, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. It's almost like a comfort thing too. Like, sure,
Yeah.
there's like a right way to do stuff, but
Yeah.
you almost just have to listen to your own body and intuition at times. Like, obviously, you need coaching at times with some things, but I think there's a lot to be said with whether it's baseball or golf swing, any sort of skill, like just being comfortable with doing it and having your own kind of flair to it. I think that
Well, even
that's something to
Caitlin,
be
like
said.
you can see her, like a lot of times she'll shoot, like her thumb will go. You know what I mean? It's like, well, everybody always says like your left hand stays straight and your right hand is your follow through
Hmm.
or whatever. And like you watch her shoot and like her hands like almost going and her ball doesn't spin like perfect rotation. And like,
Curry's got the thumb
yeah.
too.
And
Yeah.
so it's like at the end of the day, they're always tough angles. They're just using a little bit extra power. They're not, but it's a rep thing, right? Those two are taking more reps than anybody else in the world. And that's why they're shooting it the way they do. And so, yeah, I mean, there certainly can be a right way or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you're maximizing your body or getting the rep count in, it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, that even applies to the weight room too, I think. Like
Yeah.
there's guys who are naturally just twitchy or naturally good at their sport, and there's been people who have gotten into the weight room and it's made them worse. So,
Yeah.
and there's some who it propels them. So it's not a one size fits all with even with, the weight room or performance. It's kind of just tailoring it to what you need and what makes you feel best. I think that goes a long way and doesn't get talked about enough.